Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about the content ID match system of YouTube. Now you guys might be wondering exactly why I haven't done a video on this particular topic yet, considering that everyone else was doing videos last week about this, and I'm only now kind of like addressing it in an official manner in a video on my channel. And the reasoning behind it is I did record a couple of videos, but those were recorded in the heat of the moment, and let's just say that those videos weren't really going to be a part of the solution, and they were just going to pile up on the whole bandwagon of hating on YouTube or hating on publishers or hating on MCNs that has been going down for the past week. Now I have, however, been watching everyone else's videos and analyzing what people are saying, as well as making my own research into pretty much all of the topics in regards to the whole content ID match system that is being implemented. And I decided, like, look, I just want to sit back, get some perspective on this, and then make my video where I can actually talk about this and see where the blame really lies. Because a lot of people have been blaming the multi-channel networks or MCNs, such as Maker, Polaris, actually Maker and Polaris kind of the same deal, but TGN, Machinima, those guys, they've been pretty much blaming those. Other people have been blaming YouTube and Google, or just Google instead of YouTube, but to be honest, I mean, the two are one and the same at this point, so there's no real separation where YouTube begins and Google ends. So let's just say Google overall. But some people have been blaming Google for the changes. Other people have been blaming the actual game publishers, considering that their names are the ones that actually appear on the videos themselves. And the fact of the matter is that the blame actually sits pretty much with everyone. As with most cases when there are multiple opportunities to blame people, usually there's blame on pretty much everyone. And that's just the way that this whole situation goes down. So for starters, let's talk about is what YouTubers are doing on YouTube illegal? Should YouTubers just flat out not be making money on YouTube? How does this even work? What is the big deal, right? So for starters, no. What YouTubers are doing on YouTube is not illegal. It is covered by copyright law. In this case, I'm just going to talk about United States copyright law because it seems to be the most influential on YouTube, I would say. And to be honest, I don't think that many countries apart from the States are even using the content ID match system. Although I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure if that is the case or not. But either way, no, it is not illegal. There is a law, the law section, whatever. But basically there's a clause of fair use that pretty much allows what people are doing on YouTube. Now I'm going to put a link in the description box below in case you guys want to actually check up on that specific law. It is Article 17, Section 107, or Article 107, Section 17. I don't know it by head, but I know that it is something along those lines. If you just Google fair use, you can pretty much come upon the article yourself, and you can check the law for yourself. So pretty much what YouTubers do on YouTube, at least the majority of us, either becomes a derivative work, or it is made to report on news and apply critique, or it is just for the purpose of commentary. And either one of those things, it is perfectly fine to use, to monetize, to do whatever you do. There's even a specific thing within that Copyright Act, which says, like I don't even know how to say this, but like one of the points of that is like, what is the effect of the video on the market of the actual product? And let's face it, like when it comes to games, mostly whenever people talk about games, either the game gets more exposure and therefore gets sold more, or sometimes even whilst getting negative exposure, it might even sell more as well. Because what someone likes might not be what everyone else likes, and just because someone doesn't like, let's say, rubber banding on racers, let's say that someone else actually appreciates rubber banding on racers, and there you go. While someone might have a negative outlook on rubber banding, other people might have a positive outlook on rubber banding. So to each his own, and therefore basically usually more exposure translates into more sales of a product. So it is actually positive. Like what we're doing on YouTube, it is generally positive. A lot of people have even stepped forward, including users that don't even YouTube at all, that don't even record videos on YouTube, and they will say that, look, I base a lot of my purchase decisions off of stuff that I see on YouTube. So obviously it is a positive thing for the gaming industry. Therefore, the publishers really don't have that much of a reason to even fight us. As a matter of fact, a lot of the publishers have actually came out and said that it is not their doing. However, indirectly they might see this, it is their doing in the end, because they were the ones who placed the system, not placed the system, but they were the ones who used YouTube's Content ID system to put in like a database of their images, of their footage, of their trailers, and to claim those videos as their own. And since they were the ones doing that, they now need to be the ones to undo that, to actually go and update that database and get rid of that information that is there, so that it actually stops people from getting constant Content ID matches. Sure, they didn't really do anything per se, as in they didn't tell YouTube last week, go ahead and Content ID match everyone. Sure, they didn't do it. They didn't give the order for YouTube to flip the switch or anything like that. But at the end of the day, they were the ones who put those files into YouTube's database. And it is also because of them that those files are there in that database, and that they are now sweeping for videos and looking for that copyrighted footage and slapping content claims on those videos that they find. So at the end of the day, the final solution actually lies within the publishers themselves to actually go to that system and remove that stuff from YouTube's database, or at least tell YouTube not to be so aggressive. I don't know, but at the end of the day, they're the ones who are claiming the Content ID match, so they need to be the ones to kind of tell YouTube to fix it. Because YouTube is basically, it's a robot. Think of YouTube like a robot. YouTube is just like, oh, gonna do this, gonna flip the switch, and boop, here we go. Content ID matches ahoy. As a matter of fact, I've even gotten a Content ID match on a video that was filmed with a camera. It was my camera filming a PlayStation Vita, and I'm like, wow, your Content ID system is really broad if I'm capturing footage off of a Vita and you manage to identify my footage as a part of something that is in your database. I'm sorry, that is being way too broad. And I do mean that. That is allowing for quite a bit of deviation from the original file that you were sent in order to find whatever content you're looking for. So I'm imagining that there's a lot more false positives out there that are even like identifying content erroneously. So this is obviously a problem on the side of YouTube. So as you can see, we've already established that part of the blame is on the publishers. Another part of the blame is most clearly on YouTube themselves. The other thing that YouTube did, which was very, and I do mean very wrong, is actually starting the system on December, which for those of you who don't know, who are not in the know of this, December is actually the month that YouTubers have the biggest chance to make more money. The reasoning behind that is it's Christmas. There's a lot of advertisement going out in Christmas. Therefore, the best ad buys happen in December. Like, I'm not even kidding. You guys might think that I'm exaggerating or something. No, the money that YouTubers make in December is usually makes up for a lot lower months that we get throughout the rest of the year. Trust me on this. December is like the golden month every single year for all YouTubers around the world. And the simple fact that YouTube or Google, whoever the hell you want to consider, didn't really have the foresight or just didn't really care about its content creators enough to maybe flip this switch on January is really concerning, because it shows either a complete and utter disconnect from its user base or a complete and utter lack of care for its user base. In either scenario, it's just not ideal, and it's just poor business practice when you're hurting the very people that are actually giving you content, and you're hurting them in the month that they can actually try and get more money made to make up for some of the weaker months of the year. January, February, and March, I'm looking at you, because just in case you guys don't know, January, February, and March are just like the most useless months of YouTube. To be completely honest, some YouTubers could even afford to just not even do a damn thing in January, February, and March because they're pretty much working for nothing because they're making almost no money in those months. Trust me, you should have seen what it was like January and February 2013. People were just losing their heads completely with the drop that they had in revenue. So it would have been good of YouTube, it would have been considerate of them to actually apply these changes in January, but they decided no. Anyways, there's actually a couple of more changes that are going to be coming in January as well. So now let's talk about the MCNs and where is their part in all of this. Here's the thing. Multi-channel networks exist mainly because they were supposed to be the ones that kind of controlled the whole copyright problem that was on YouTube before multi-channel networks existed. So they were kind of like taking responsibility for the channels that they were taking under their wing, and taking responsibility for those channels basically meant that if there were any copyright problems, YouTube would go to them. And so they were supposed to kind of monitor these channels and make sure that they didn't do anything wrong. Now, the problem became that a lot of these multi-channel networks did, in fact, start mass recruitment of every single unpartnered channel on YouTube because they saw that they could make a lot of money out of it. It's just a fact of life. I mean, I don't want to like step on anyone's toes, but that is exactly what happened. And I'm not even talking, I'm not even like trying to exclude any particular network from this because pretty much everybody did it. Like TGN did it, Machinima did it, particularly Machinima, RPM did it. I mean, everybody did this. As a matter of fact, there's even people going off to people that are already partnered and trying to poach people off from one network to the other. This is kind of becoming like, I'm not sure if you guys have this problem in the States, but in Portugal we have this kind of with soccer. No, actually, I believe in the States it's even worse, right? With football or something, like people poaching players from each of the teams and stuff like that. That's kind of how multi-channel networks are working. Like if they see a channel that's on the grow, they all want to get in on that channel because they all want to make money off of him. That's pretty much the way it is. Now, that's obviously not the only thing that networks do for you, right? It's not. I mean, at least it's not supposed to be the only thing that networks do for you to allow you to escape from the YouTube content ID match system. I mean, that's what they were doing in the past. One of the services that they were providing. Apparently, they're not going to be able to provide that service to everyone anymore. It is just not going to happen. So what tends to happen, what ended up happening is YouTube said, look, you guys recruited way too many channels, so now you guys got to make up your minds. Do you want to actually manage these channels, or do you want to just have these channels as affiliate? And the problem is YouTube most likely also told them that, look, we're going to be implementing this system, and you guys are going to have to deal with all of your managed channels, content, ID matches, and stuff like that. And you guys might be wondering, why did YouTube even have to implement this system? This is mostly due to the movie industry as well as the music industry. And I don't want to get too in-depth into that, but the fact of the matter is, if you guys go on YouTube and look for any music or almost any movie, you can find either sections of the movie or you can find full albums of music uploaded onto YouTube. This, in case you guys don't know, is illegal. You're not allowed to do this regardless of whether or not you're monetizing this. You cannot do this because it is not your work. Therefore, you are not entitled to do it unless you are critiquing that music. And even if you are critiquing, you're not allowed to play the music in its integrity and then critique. No, you have to like play sections of the music and then critique it along the way, because the fact of the matter is music and movies are a static media. What does this mean? It means that if I'm watching a movie and then along comes John Doe and watches the same movie, the experience is pretty much the same. You might feel differently about it, but we've both watched the same movie. However, if we are watching someone else play a video game, and let's say I'm watching PewDiePie play Dark Souls and someone else is watching Epic Name Bro play Dark Souls, let's just say the experience is going to be ridiculously different. Like, I'm talking night and day here. So this is pretty much so that you guys can understand why in video games is okay for people to kind of monetize it and to do why it is okay for us to do what we're doing on YouTube, because people get different experiences, and watching someone else play a video game is never a replacement for playing the video game yourself. although some people are into just watching playthroughs and not really playing games, I can understand why they would like that. But at the end of the day, the fact remains that watching someone else play a game and playing the game yourself is not mutually exclusive. I mean, watching me play Dark Souls is not going to give you the same amount of pleasure or satisfaction than you playing Dark Souls yourself. This is just the way of things, and I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. But anyways, this is just the way of things, and that is why it is pretty much okay for us to do what we do. Now, when you're doing that with the movie industry and the music industry, obviously it's not going to be the same. If I listen to Black Knight by Deep Purple and you listen to Black Knight by Deep Purple, we both listen to exactly the same thing. And it does, in fact, hurt sales of music, because if I can just, whenever I feel like listening to a music, go onto YouTube and listen to that music, I'm probably not going to buy it. I mean, in my case, I'm actually most likely going to buy it, because that's kind of like the outtake. I mean, when you're working in the industry, the way that I do, or the way that other YouTubers do, you learn to respect other people's work a lot more than when you don't. Which is why I would dare to say that a great majority of YouTubers would most likely never even consider pirating a game. They will faster not play a game than pirate it. Simply because doing what we're doing grants us respect for these types of works, regardless of whether the game is multiplayer, single player, or whatever. Anyways, I am straying a little bit off the path here, but basically that is the reason, like, the music industry and the movie industry pressured YouTube and put lawsuits against YouTube due to its users uploading full albums or full movies or sections of movies or whatever, because those do replace the experience itself. So they sued the crap out of YouTube for punitive damage and whatnot, and YouTube has been under pressure by these companies for the longest time. So a long time ago, before these companies were like pretty much the companies have always been cracking down on YouTube. But the point of the matter is, there was a time where the gaming companies were also like, oh, we also don't want people like showing off our content on YouTube and stuff. So the publishers, there was a time where a lot of them actually also agreed with this and did not want YouTubers to do video game coverage. Now, this, however, is not as was not as permanent as the music and movie industry, because pretty soon publishers and gaming companies alike started seeing an actual benefit to people playing their games online in the form of additional sales of their games. I don't think I can illustrate this any better than I can with Dark Souls, because by the time Dark Souls came out, and I'm going to use Dark Souls as an example because obviously I'm a Dark Souls guy. But by the time Dark Souls came out, not a lot of people were looking at Dark Souls. I was looking at Dark Souls because I had played the previous title and I was very passionate about that title. So I knew that I was going to get into Dark Souls. So Dark Souls comes out. I'm like crazy in love with the game. I play the crap out of the game. It's still my favorite game to date. And I start spreading the word, but not just me, obviously. I don't take credit for Dark Souls becoming as big as it became. Hell no. But a lot of people also started playing Dark Souls. Like, you look at Epic Name Bro. He actually started before me because the bastard had access to the Japanese version. I hate you, Marcus. Actually, no, I'm just joking. I love Marcus. But anyways, as I was saying, the fact that me, Marcus, later on Vatividia came up, did his videos. Vatividia is now 100 times bigger than me. And I think I can almost say that literally. And more other YouTubers. I'm sorry if I'm not mentioning your specific name, but several YouTubers have actually started making channels just about Dark Souls. And Dark Souls became this really big thing, which if you now go look at, like, for instance, if you compare the marketing budget of Dark Souls 1, like Namco Bandai's marketing budget of Dark Souls 1, you compare that to their marketing budget of Dark Souls 2, where they crafted a friggin' armor in real life, and they filmed the blacksmith crafting the armor, okay? Just to give you an idea. So if you look at the marketing budget on that game, it is now through the roof. The reason for that is greatly due to the fact that the game received a lot of exposure from YouTube, and YouTubers trying to share the experience and actually trying to get more people into the game. And the game benefited immensely from it. So other games have benefited from this. I'm just giving you guys a Dark Souls example. And companies are now beginning to embrace this. But the problem is that they didn't bothered to go back and fix what they previously inputted into YouTube's system, which is the reason why now YouTube had to flip the switch due to pressure from the music and the movie industry. And now the stuff that was inputted into the database back in the days that publishers didn't want people to do this kind of stuff on YouTube, because like I said, again, it was them who YouTube didn't grab videos from publishers and registered stuff for them. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen because that would make no sense whatsoever. So at the end of the day, it was them who did it. And now YouTube flipped the switch and we're all getting content ID matched over it. Now, as I say Dark Souls, I don't think anyone actually got a Dark Souls content ID claim, because actually they seem to be on top of that kind of stuff, and they never really kind of bitten the hand that feeds, so to speak. I've never received any content ID matches for any of my Dark Souls content. The content ID matches that I did receive were from other companies, and they were bogus. None of them were from actually Namco Bandai or anyone officially officially connected to the Dark Souls franchise. So as Dark Souls, there are other titles that were never really affected by this because people always saw the positivity in it, especially indie studios. I don't think indie studios are going to really just are going to actually go around claiming footage, because they understand the value of it. Just look at Minecraft. That is the other thing. If you're just out of curiosity, if you're watching this for curiosity and you're a channel that actually does Minecraft, you don't have to worry about getting content ID matches, and it's going to be pretty safe for you to contest every single content ID match you get, because Mojang specifically said you are allowed to monetize on Minecraft videos. Same thing from Devolver Digital. So if you're doing anything from Devolver Digital, you should be fine as well. And there are other companies like that. However, some of the bigger publishers, like let's say Capcom, Ubisoft, and more, who have come out and said, we're not doing this, just dispute them and we'll get you guys rid of those. Yes, they are not doing it now, but they have done it in the past, and it is their job, in my opinion, to go back and fix what they did in the past, and that is the only way that we're going to be able to get through this. I think that somewhere in between there, I forgot to basically mention the whole thing about managed and affiliates and the multi-channel networks. But the fact of the matter is, once YouTube pulled the switch, the multi-channel networks were forced to select status for each and every one of their partners. And you guys might be wondering, everyone should be managed. Yes, everyone should be managed. The problem is now, instead of being you having to deal with the content ID claims issues, imagine what it would be like for a network to be in charge of managing 30,000 users worth of content ID matches. I mean, it would be insane. It would just be completely insane. So obviously they can't really do all of that. I mean, as a matter of fact, some people were stating, oh, Curse is doing this and Curse is going to get everyone into managed status. That is their goal and all of this other stuff. And I've recently read something from the CEO of Curse where he said that he was backing out of that because he wasn't sure that he was going to be able to fulfill on that, due to the simple fact that a lot of people are getting content ID claims. A lot of these content ID claims are completely and utter crap, due to the fact that it's just content ID claims that shouldn't even be happening to begin with. And since if you're managed, the network themselves have to deal with that, they're not going to be able to. It's just they don't have enough staff. It's just the way these things work. Now, in terms of Polaris, for instance, which is the network that I'm in, they're actually collectively gathering all of the information from all of their users to continuously file stuff on with YouTube to basically fix the issue, and they have been slowly and steadily fixing the issue for me. So that is one of the other advantages of me being a part of Polaris, is I actually have someone, a network manager, who is actually a friend of mine because he treated me really well when I was in Los Angeles. But the fact of the matter is, I have someone on the side of the network who is basically dealing these kinds of things with these kinds of things for me. So there's more value to Polaris than just the whole thing about avoiding the content ID matches. Now, did these partnerships actually lose some value? Yes, they definitely did. because the fact of the matter is we now have to deal with a whole bunch of crap that we didn't have to. But again, the main problem still becomes, like, if the network itself gets hit with all these content ID matches, they're unable to basically continue to provide all of the support that they do. So, as you can see, guys, there's plenty of enough blame to go around, and there's plenty of stuff that needs to be done before this gets fixed. And this is without even mentioning the upcoming change that's coming in January, because a lot of people currently are just consistently worried about the content ID system and all this content ID crap. Just wait until we get to January and people are not going to be able to monetize their videos. And you guys are like, what? Not be able to monetize? That's not what YouTube said. They're talking about a review process and a trust algorithm. Well, let me tell you, despite of what YouTube might be misleading people to believe, that monetization review system is already in place. As a matter of fact, that trust algorithm is also already in place. I've used it. Basically, all you have to do is not be partnered with a network, and you're using that both the trust algorithm as well as the monetization review process. And let me tell you, come January, anyone that wants to upload and monetize a video is going to have some serious problems. And I do mean serious problems. And this includes myself. Probably you guys will see, if you follow me on social networks or whatever, you will see me really frustrated throughout the month of January. I'm 100% sure of that. You will see a lot of channels, gaming channels, close down because they cannot be asked to deal with this. Because it is a really bad process. As a matter of fact, we're now seeing some channels even migrate. Like, if you guys, not sure how many of you guys actually know them. What was it called? Classic Games Room or something like that? But I used to watch several of their reviews. Like, I wouldn't even, like, I wasn't even subscribed to the guy, but like every now and then I would want to look information on something, and he would have tons and tons of reviews. And the problem is, he just decided, look, I can't deal with this, and he's gone. He basically does videos now, basically leading people towards his website. It actually reminds me of myself in the past when I couldn't get a YouTube partnership. I did something very similar. I would make videos on YouTube, and then I would direct people to watch videos on my website a long time ago. And there's a lot of people that are going to leave YouTube. This is a fact. Like, some people are like, oh, it's the apocalypse. Some people might actually leave YouTube. No, you're wrong. Some people have already left YouTube. Just the fact that they still have videos on YouTube does not mean that they're doing content primarily on YouTube. No. Just go watch Philip DeFranco's video, for instance. I don't even follow Philip DeFranco. Someone sent me a link of his video just for me to watch of his opinion. And he clearly stated there that YouTube is basically like an alcoholic father. You never know if he's going to bring you something nice or he's going to beat the shit out of you. That is 100% correct. That is the way that YouTube works. You never know what is going to happen. And a lot of people can't deal with that and won't deal with that because a lot of people make a serious business out of this. I'm one of those people. Like, I have my own website. Of course, it hasn't really have enough traction for me to just say, hey, everybody, go to my website. Let's all do stuff on my website now. Of course not. I would need a dedicated programmer. I'm doing my website myself. I mean, I'm doing my website in between the free time that I have to record, edit, whatever, render, do meta tagging, do social streaming, do this, that, and the other. I'm building my website like in the middle of doing all that. So obviously my website's not going to be that great. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not even making enough money off of YouTube to even justify having a website. Having a website up costs you like 50 something euros a year, at least just for hosting or something. So, I mean, that's the thing. You see, that is the thing. There is already a lot of people leaving YouTube, and there's going to be more people leaving YouTube, and it sucks. And the fact of the matter is, this is because of all these three entities. These three entities need to come together and figure something out themselves, because nothing that we as content creators actually do is going to change the way that this system is going. Some people might think, oh no, but we get all of these massive YouTubers doing massive outcries and we'll get this thing changed. Do you really believe that? Look at Google Plus. Did Google Plus leave YouTube? No. Did YouTube ever roll back to the old way, the channels? You used to have the old channels with the channel background and all that. Did that ever get rolled back from the one channel interface? No. Did you ever get your featured videos back? No. Now the featured videos is actually something else. It is the channel, what do they even call it? Channel trailer? I don't even know. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter how many people actually revolt against it. YouTube doesn't change things. What needs to happen is these people need to have a conversation. And here's the thing. Gaming publishers should be the main people that are interested in having this conversation with YouTube, because you guys might think that, but, gaming industry is a passion thing. And it is. It clearly is, because trust me, I wouldn't be working this, making about $600 a month if I wasn't retardedly passionate about it. As a matter of fact, the biggest part of my house income comes from my wife, who has a job, obviously, and I'm just doing this and making like $600 a month or whatever. And the fact of the matter is, if it wasn't for the passion that I have of doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't be doing it, because it's just not worth it. Like, I work more than I used to work when I had a 9-to-5 job, although I never really did have a 9-to-5 job because I always got kind of explored. I'm getting paid less than half of what I was paid when I was working a full-time job. And the only thing that's left at the end of the day is that I love what I'm doing. That's pretty much it. That's the reason why I do it. That's the reason why most YouTubers do it. And so publishers might think that, they're all passionate about it. They'll deal with this content ID thing, and it's going to be blown over soon. But the fact of the matter is, it's not. And to be honest, you think that we're going to be dealing with this content ID match forever? No. I'm sorry to rain on your parade. And here's the thing. I'm not going to tell publishers what they should be doing or whatever. I'm going to offer my personal opinion, because I have relationships with a lot of these publishers, and obviously I don't want to burn any bridges. I understand what is happening. I fully understand what is happening, but I feel the need to tell publishers that, look, you guys really need to go and talk to YouTube about this, and you need to either clear the database or whatever, because if we're making videos and all the videos that we're making for your AAA titles or whatever, if they get flagged constantly all the time, we're not going to be dealing with that. There are a lot of indie developers out there, and there are a lot of really good indie developers out there. I've spoken with quite a lot throughout this year. This year was actually amazing for me, because I actually really sort of solidified my position in the industry, so to speak. I've been able to get a lot of stuff sent over to me so that I could do reviews and do my videos, which for a channel the size of mine is really, really, it really surprised me. So here's the thing. It's like, in my channel, I've never favored one type of content over another. I mean, I might have been a little bit biased towards RPGs because that's kind of my personal thing, but I've never shied away from looking at other games. I mean, you guys look at my channel and you'll see stuff like Doki Doki Universe. You'll see stuff like Gran Turismo 6. You will see games that are weird. You will see games that are more mainstream. You will see games that are less mainstream. And I usually don't go out and just, I don't try to bias myself to anything in particular. Like I said, you guys might see a little bit of RPG bias because I just love RPGs, but I don't do the whole thing where it's like, no, my channel is about indies or my channel is about AAAs. No, I cover them both equally if people actually send me the content. That is the way that I do things. As a matter of fact, sometimes I'll even cover games that I really want to check out, and I can't get the publisher to send me the content, the copy of the game for whatever reason. Sometimes I'll go out and I'll buy those games to show them to you guys. And at the end of the day, what happens is, like I've been saying, I haven't been biased about it, but if I start getting content ID matches only on AAAs and no content ID matches for indie titles, I mean, it's pretty much obvious which one I need to focus on the most, because at the end of the day, guess what? I need to make a living. That's just how these things work. And I don't want to have to make this choice. I don't think anyone on YouTube wants to have to make this choice, except for the people that maybe already made this choice themselves. For instance, if you look at someone, and I don't want to point any fingers or anything in a negative way, just trying to give an example, but if you look at someone like Northern Lion, he is a more indie type of channel because that is the type of stuff that he's into. And he is probably doing fine despite these issues that I've been having. He might have a couple of hits on his normal videos. Then again, I don't know. I don't follow Northern Lion all that much. I'm just giving you guys an example of a channel that is more about indie games. My channel is about whatever I can get my hands on, pretty much. And at the end of the day, like I said, I don't want to have to make this choice between indies and AAAs. But if I am forced into making that choice, if basically it gets to the point where I put a video on YouTube and YouTube will clearly tell me, not in these words, but obviously through its methods and processes and whatever, it's telling me, look, this is a AAA game, you can't monetize this, this is going to get a content ID match, it's going to take months to clear up, it's going to take months to be able to monetize. It's not even about making a choice, because I'm not going to have a choice. I'm going to be like, oh, guess what? Do I want to eat tomorrow? I guess I better make an indie title video because at least they're not going to screw me over. So I'm not saying that publishers are doing this. I'm saying that publishers are probably the only ones who can actually get the conversation started with YouTube in order to actually fix it. And that's pretty much all I have to say in regards to this topic. I'm sorry about the fact that this is today's video. But I had to tackle this topic because a lot of people have been asking me what's my opinion on it, despite the fact that I've pretty much raged and ranted all over Twitter and Facebook. But like I said, I wanted to give you guys a more balanced opinion. At the end of the day, there's enough blame to go around for all three of these entities. But basically, the solution will be publishers reaching out to YouTube, fixing up that old log database, and just like either stop using the content ID system outright, because to be honest, it's bringing you a lot more bad press than whatever you could be making up for losing anything on YouTube, if you even lose anything on YouTube. Because I don't even think you can lose anything on YouTube. So what if someone plays your entire game in one sitting in a channel without so much as commentary or anything and makes $10 off of it or whatever? So what? Do you really think that it is worth it to go into legal issues with that one guy or those 2 or 10 or even 100 guys who played your game start to finish over the other 1,000 people that are doing news about your game, that are doing playthroughs about your game, that are supporting your game? Is it really worth it? Look at what Namco Bandai is doing and look at the amount of success that Dark Souls 2 is having now. Do you think they give a damn if someone plays their entire game in one sitting? They don't. Hell, they encourage it. They have a speedrunner community for that kind of thing. So seriously, take a look at what successful people are doing. Take a look at the impact that YouTube is having on your titles and help us. Actually, I'm not even telling you what to do. At this point, I'm asking you for your help. If you are a part of a major publisher, help us. Help us basically publicize your game. That's what we're doing. That's all we want to do. Thank you very much for watching. As per usual, leave me your comments, feedback, all that kinds of good stuff in the comment section below. And I will see you guys in the next one.